Rivers and swamps have always been some of the most pristine and tranquil natural environments on our planet. But what we were not entirely prepared for is the absolutely shocking and mysterious discoveries that have been made in these areas. From deeply unsettling giant vampire fish with rows of gaping teeth to perfectly preserved mummies and ancient statues, follow along as we count down 15 most terrifying things found in rivers and swamps. Number 15. River monsters. These absolutely behemoth fish are some of the oldest and most impressive creatures in the world, and these fishermen could not believe their luck upon catching one of these monsters. Sturgeons are ancient fish who have lived in the rivers of the world for more than 130 million years, and the sheer size of these beasts prove they have been hiding in the deepest parts of our rivers for at least a couple of hundred years. The back-breaking sturgeon caught in northeast China was nearly 10 feet long and weighed well over 700 pounds. There are very few people who can say they have seen such a giant fish up close, as these monsters are usually very good at hiding and evading capture. It's incredibly intimidating to stand next to a fish that looks like it could swallow a person whole though, and we definitely would not want to be in the water with it. This huge sturgeon is definitely one of the craziest things to ever be found in a river though, and it'll make us think twice next time we want to jump into a river for a swim. Before we go on, like this video and subscribe with notifications, and you'll have amazing luck for the rest of the week. Jumping straight into today's untold topic, we see what looks to be a harmless picture of two hikers fishing in a river. This picture has become infamously known though, and only after disaster struck did everyone notice the creepy creature hiding in the background. We have no idea what this odd-looking creature was, but it's definitely not coincidence that these men went missing without a trace not long after this chilling image was captured. The hikers vanished completely, and they were never found again, leading many to believe this strange creature stalking them could be responsible. Share with us if you know of any local myths or folklore regarding what this beast could be. Number 14. Japanese giant. The Japanese giant salamander is the third largest amphibian in the world, and it's a guardian of the river you definitely would not want to come across. Even though they look like fish, these creatures have hands, which make them look much weirder and creepier. They can weigh up to 55 pounds and be almost 5 feet in length, and it doesn't help that this already intimidating creature is naturally aggressive. We wouldn't want to be around when one of these river giants wakes up and chooses violence though, as a fight against these robust creatures would not be an easy task. These giant monsters are currently an endangered species though, and the Japanese authorities are doing all they can to protect the few of them that remain. Habitat loss is one of the main threats, and the natural areas they are able to inhabit are growing fewer by the day. This ancient species has not changed in the last 20 million years though, making it one of the oldest animals in the world. Number 13. Swamp people. These haunting swamp people can be found in the Gulf of Morbihan in France, and this unsettling and creepy scene has captured the intrigue of many. As it turns out, these aren't grotesque, mummified swamp creatures trapped in times, but rather an interesting art display resembling our tense relationship with nature. This display started out with two mysterious figures, but new statues are being added to this display. This is definitely the last thing you would expect to find when strolling next to a swamp, and you would surely be a bit freaked out, stumbling upon these anguished figures, not knowing why they existed. This is certainly one of the most interesting and captivating art projects we have seen in a long while. And to make this art display even more insane, the colors and textures of the Gothic figures change with time as the organic landscape changes. This means visitors can not only visit this site, but they can also affect the area and come back to find the sculptures changed entirely. Number 12. Methanogenic madness. It's a common occurrence to see gas bubbling up from the murky depths of swamps, but this first clip takes on an Australian river, showing that natural methane gas can sometimes even bubble up to the surface of rivers. Swamps are responsible for producing billions of tons of methane every year, and bog gas is one of the biggest contributors to natural methane gas in the atmosphere. This Australian man lit a match next to his boat and quickly came to regret the decision, as the entire surface of the river caught on fire. This shows just how incredibly flammable methane gas is, and it's not advised to set methane bubbles in your local swamp or river on fire, as there is no knowing just how vast the reserve of methane is. A new methane reserve has been found in a swamp in the Philippines, and it's so large that people speculate the area can become the new Dubai. Number 11. Ghostly lights. A river in Thailand is home to an annual festival and a very strange naturally occurring phenomenon, when once a year, inexplicable red fireballs rise up into the sky from the river. This spectacle is best seen at night, and crowds gather every year to watch this mystifying light show in the sky. These red fireballs rise to as high as 600 feet in the air, and old mythology in the area claims that these fireballs are made by some ancient river serpent who lives in the deep and only comes up to witness the annual celebrations. The serpent is said to blow the fireballs from within his stomach. And while there was apparently a giant creature caught in the river in the early 1930s that many people believed to have been the monster behind these fireballs. The Nage fireballs continue though, and whether this occurrence is due to spontaneously igniting methane bubbles or some ancient underwater dragon, we can only guess. Number 10. Teethy River Monster. Just because we know what scary creatures are roaming around in rivers doesn't make them any less scary, and you should definitely check whether the river you are planning to make a swim in has a reputation for being infested with bull sharks before you get your toes wet. Bull sharks can survive in saltwater and fresh, meaning there's nothing stopping them from coasting up the local rivers, and this happens quite often. This makes bull shark one of the most dangerous species we know of, and it doesn't help that these sharks are known to be incredibly aggressive. These sharks like to hunt in waters where people frequently swim, making them one of the scariest things to come across in a river. Seeing such a monster swimming right beside you while you are in a small canoe must be heart-stopping though, and we aren't sure how one would even begin to mentally recover from an encounter like this. Sometimes these aggressive bull sharks have come across unfriendly crocs in their journey up the river. We have been lucky enough to catch one or two of these encounters on camera. Number 9. Nightmare Fuel. Lamprey eels are known as the vampires of the river world, and we can clearly see why. These jawless parasitic fish have rows upon rows of jagged teeth it uses to tear its victim apart. While this doesn't make us feel great, this next footage, first clip, caught by a fisherman on a river, shocked and terrified the whole world. What he caught was a gnarly-looking lamprey eel. The only problem was that it was about 100 times bigger than we are used to seeing them. While these scary eelfish are usually only a few inches long, this minster fish's head was significantly bigger than the man's fist. The horrifying size of this vampire fish makes us feel deeply unsettled, and it's definitely one of the scariest things we have ever seen hiding in the depths of rivers. We definitely would have been better off never seeing this cursed river monster, and it is sure to haunt our nightmares now. Make sure you subscribe to our channel and like this video before we go on to have good fortune for a whole week. Number 8. Secret Underwater River. Although a river flowing underwater seems completely impossible, this is exactly what happens in a small, unassuming stream in the Yucatan Peninsula. This is the start of one of the coolest, naturally occurring phenomenon we have ever seen. River flowing completely apart from the rest of the water body. Known as Cenote Angelita, this insane underwater river reaches down to nearly 300 feet at its deepest point. One of the most striking and intriguing things about this underwater river is that you can swim here and explore the beautiful scenery and trees that rest at the edge of the underwater riverbanks. This is definitely one of the coolest things to see, and the differentiated river is formed by a thick hydrogen sulfide cloud that starts at about 83 feet below the surface of the water. The river has alternating layers of fresh and salt water, and is one of the most complex yet entrancing underwater occurrences we have ever seen in a river. Number 7. Water vampires. Vampires have always been a part of our mythical history, but as it turns out, humans aren't the only species who have some blood-sucking individuals hiding away in the corners of the world. The Amazon basin is home to a vampire fish that can grow up to 3 feet in length. But the most striking feature about these fish is definitely the fact that they have teeth so huge they can't even close their gaping jaws. These fish are cannibalistic by nature and will eat pretty much whatever they can get their fins on. While they don't literally suck the blood from their victims, this is the closest we have ever come to seeing a brutal fish vampire species. This hair-raising fish is by no means a trophy of the river world, and its haunting appearance will make anyone think twice before swimming somewhere they are present. The Payura has average fangs of 6 inches, and having one of these fanged fish bite down on our toes or fingers while taking a swim in a river might now be our very worst fear. Number 6. Leech horrors. Leeches have always been one of those subconscious worries we are extremely paranoid about and hope to never encounter. And the rivers of our world are filled with different, yet equally terrifying leeches that will suck their way right into your worst nightmares. This giant Amazon leech was thought to be extinct for many years until it was rediscovered in the Amazon basin. But this is one creature we would not mind having stayed extinct. The horrifying leech grows up to 18 inches in size, and its favorite meal is the blood of its prey. Everything about this giant leech screams underworld monster, and we can't help but notice how incredibly creepy every part of this animal's anatomy is. Of all the things that you can find hiding in rivers and swamps, this is definitely the last thing we ever want to run into. It's almost uncanny how much these bloodthirsty leeches resemble monsters out of the Stranger Things universe, and we just hope and pray that they stop growing. Number 5. Ancient swamp statue. Miners were excavating a swamp in Russia back in 1894 when they came across a strange-looking statue, and since its discovery, these seemingly inconspicuous wooden statues have become widely known as one of the coolest things we have ever discovered. Dated to have been made 12,000 years ago, this strange idol is twice as old as the pyramids of Giza. While this strange find has inspired mystery and intrigue, we have absolutely no idea what history this ancient object has. Researchers and scholars have come to the theory that the idol represented a mysterious being worshipped by some unknown ancient civilization who once lived here. This is the only trace of their existence we have found, and this strange statue raises a lot of questions about the history of our world and the people who lived in it. Known as the Shigir idol, this is the oldest known wooden statue, and it was crafted very shortly after the turn of the last ice age. Number 4. Ticking time bomb. We like to think that the threat of nuclear bombs is mostly over in our modern society, but this is actually not quite the case. During the height of the Cold War, America decided to keep a number of bombers in the sky at all times. This naturally created a range of complications, and one of these nearly nuked the entirety of North Carolina. When a mission went wrong, a military aircraft crashed into a residential area close to a swamp, putting the entire area at risk. The bombs that this aircraft was carrying were said to be more powerful than the bomb that destroyed Hiroshima, and the fact that it has sunk to the bottom of the swamp is not a reassuring one. Authorities have not been able to dig out the bomb stuck in the swamp due to the dangerous nature of the situation. And this just proves why we should never be in charge of such immense explosive power in the first place. The nuke is now a ticking time bomb at the bottom of the swamp, and we can only hope that it remains dormant. Number 3. Bogged in time. The bogs of Northern Europe have revealed many interesting discoveries over the last 2,000 years, and we have found everything from sacrificial objects, weapons, and even bodies, but none are quite as unique and captivating as the old Krogan man who is a real-life bog mummy. While it's unknown what led to this man's unfortunate fate, many scholars believe he was a victim in a human sacrifice ritual by Celtic kings. The mummified remains of this ancient man were found by workers cleaning a drainage ditch in the bog. The conditions in the swamp resulted in the skin of the man being perfectly preserved and turning almost leathery, while his bones calcified as a normal corpse would. It's likely that this man has been lying hidden in this swamp for many hundreds of years, making us nervous about what else we will discover in the depths of the swamps in Europe. Number 2. Sinking away. Louisiana is being swallowed into this massive sinkhole that appeared out of nowhere in a river, and the shocking footage of the moment the sinkhole opens up and swallows everything in its path in minutes has gone viral. The trees standing in the river disappear within a matter of moments, making this swamp area one of the most dangerous in the entire state. There are quite a few problems with this sinkhole, such as the fact that it is releasing toxic gases and pollutants into the air. But it also won't stop growing. The already 25-acre sinkhole is just expanding, and it's showing no signs of slowing down. Thanks to this freak of nature event, the entire area is becoming increasingly unsafe to live, and this is definitely one of the craziest things we have ever seen happen in a swamp. Number 1. Bahia Horned Beast. A young girl captured this next image on the banks of a river in Brazil, and this is one of the clearest and most frightening sightings of the beast of folklore, the horned Bahia devil, we have ever seen. The beast obviously lives in the thick jungles of the area and was accidentally caught on camera when stepping out into the open riverbank. The ghostly humanoid figure sends chills up our spine, and ever since it was captured on camera back in 2007, we are no closer now than we were back then to finding the explanation behind this spooky footage. The skull head of the creature makes us think it could be a demonic presence, but whatever it is, it luckily stayed far in the distance and didn't come any closer to the filming girl. This scary beast is definitely the last thing you want to encounter while on a hike in the woods, and we can only hope that he remains as elusive as he has been all these years. This effectively wraps up our countdown of weird, wacky, and worrisome finds in rivers and swamps, and we must admit, we don't feel so comfortable going for a riverside holiday after these horrifying discoveries anymore. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out our other mind-blowing videos on screen right now.